Hey, Blue Collar Ben here. Today we're going to be going over all of the essentials things that you need to know regarding air conditioner contactors, how they work and how they are integrated into the system. Also some common issues that you can come across. So your outside condensing unit or air conditioner is being powered by this disconnect right here. If we open this thing up, we can see that in this case we have a pull handle where we can disconnect the power from the air conditioner. Sometimes you'll have one that has fuses built into it, and sometimes you'll have one that's just a simple on-off breaker. So we'll go ahead and pull this one out, and you can see here that it has some metal contacts that basically pass the electrical through to the air conditioner down here. Now you can actually flip this one over into the off position, and then those metal contact points just go in above and don't actually turn the power on to the air conditioner. What I like to do, however, when I'm working on it is to just pull it out completely and set it on top. That way I know for sure that we don't have any power. Now, if something was wired incorrectly inside of that box, there's always a possibility that there's still power going to the unit somehow, so you should always check with an electrical tester before you go touching any wires. So since we have the power turned off to this unit, you would think that the contactor would also have no power. But that's actually not the case. The contactor gets its power from the transformer in the furnace in the house. So even though this is out here, I'm going to demonstrate now what should happen when you turn on your air conditioning, what that contactor does. With your electrical tester and volt alternating current, just confirm that you have no power coming into the unit. We can do that right here on the bottom where our power first comes in. It's always best to use one hand if at all possible for testing, and you can see here that we have virtually no voltage. We can also check from each terminal to ground, which should be the frame of the unit, and you should have no voltage. Just be safe, guys, while you work on this kind of stuff. So you can see right here inside of our electrical compartment we have a few different things. We have our contactor, which is right here, as well as a capacitor, and that's kind of the main items that are in here for a standard air conditioner. Over here you can see we have our thermostat wires coming into the air conditioner, which then attach to this brown and blue wire, which go onto the contactor itself. This is the 24 volt control voltage coming from the thermostat. So we're going to go and turn on the thermostat, and it's going to send 24 volts out here, which is then going to pull in this contactor. But the air conditioner itself should not turn on because we have the power disconnected from the unit. So as long as the breaker is turned on to the furnace and the switch is on the side of the furnace, then we should be able to just turn the air conditioning on right here and have that contactor outside pull in. So we're just going to switch this into cooling mode, turn it down. And we heard the main fan come on for the furnace, so that should have pulled the contactor in outside. So obviously you heard that humming noise come on out here. That means that the contactor is indeed getting 24 volts of power. And if this thing is making a really loud rattling noise, like that, oftentimes that means that the contactor is not fully seated. Now if you do not hear a humming noise, then you'll probably want to check for voltage to see how many volts are coming into the coil on the contactor. So I have my electric meter in volts alternating current, and we're just going to test across these two wires coming onto the contactor. And you can see we have 26 volts there, so we are just fine on that. But the goal with this was just to show you that you can still have power at the air conditioner even when the air conditioner disconnect is out of the disconnect box. So I'm going to go back inside and shut the thermostat off. So this contactor has been giving us some trouble, so we're going to go ahead and go through with the replacement process. So I got a couple of new contactors here, and the vast majority of them are built a little bit more like this. And you have 24 volts coming in, but one comes in on either side here. Now we can't see the contacts inside of this thing like we can on this one. You can see that the contacts are all exposed here. Now that's actually can be a negative thing, because sometimes a little bug or beetle or critter can get stuck underneath that plunger there and cause your air conditioner to not start. If you do find that a bug was underneath one of the contacts of your contactor, you can get that bug out of there once you've made sure that you have no power, and your air conditioner should work again. but a lot of times that can cause the contacts to just burn a little bit on the contactor, so it's probably a good idea to go ahead and replace it. So this is the replacement contactor that we're going to be using. You can see that right here on the side it says that it's a 24 volts, 50 or 60 hertz coil, and this is more typical for the thermostat wires to attach one on either side of the contactor like that, instead of the existing one which just has them both coming in on one side. Doesn't really matter though, the function is the same. Now you can't see the contacts on this one, they are protected by this little cover. We'll go ahead and remove that so that you can get a closer look at what it looks like inside of this contactor. The reason they started putting these covers on here is to protect these terminals from bugs and things crawling in there. So you can see we have two sets of contacts that close from each leg of 120 volts coming up in through the contactor. That's different than technically than the one that we have installed right now. You can see how on this contactor we have our two legs coming in the bottom, and on the right there is no plunger. So this is only breaking one leg of our 240 volts. So that means that even when this contactor is de-energized, you have 120 volts present in the electrical compartment, which is another reason why you want to make sure that you pull your disconnect and verify that there is no power while you're working on these things. Generally speaking, the reason that manufacturers use this single pole contactor is just for cost savings, and usually not for any functionality whatsoever. Even though it's extremely rare, once in a while they will use that single pole that is connected all the time as a crankcase heater with the motor windings. There may be some kind of a resistor on your run capacitor. Personally, I've almost never seen this, if ever, and so you should be fine to just replace it with a two-pole contactor. However, if you're going to be ordering a contactor, it's always best to go back with what was there originally, so you can just order a single pole contactor if that's the case. I'll link to both types of contactors in the description below. Also make sure that you get a contactor that has the correct amperage rating. So this one is full load amps of 40 and resistive amps of 50. So this one is good to go for 99% of air conditioning applications unless you have a really big unit. So I'll show you one more contactor here. This is a 3-pole contactor, which is typically used in 3-phase applications. You can see how instead of the control voltage coming in on the sides, it's actually coming in on the top of this one. And if we look closely here, it'll tell us our coil voltage right here is 208/240. So this coil actually needs 208 volts in order to pull that contactor in. That's why it's important to make sure that you order one that is for standard 24 volt applications, if that's the application that you have. If you have a unit that has a higher voltage coil, just make sure that you order the proper one. This contactor also has a cover. The nice thing on this one is they've actually allowed us to be able to push this plunger down even when the cover is in place. With this other one, we will have to actually remove that cover in order to do that. It's always a good idea to take a picture of your contactor and the way it was wired before you start pulling things apart. We're going to disconnect our control voltage first. So this is our 24 volts, which would be coming from the thermostat. We have that de-energized in the house, so there's no power there. And then we'll remove our power coming into the contactor. We have these two screws here on the bottom, and then we can just push those down. And now I'm actually not going to disconnect these quite yet because I like to leave those ones on there until I have the new contactor in place. So we'll go ahead and remove the old contactor. Just a couple of 1/4-inch screws holding it in place. And then we can anchor the new contactor in place. Now we can see the terminals that are on the top here, and we have a couple of spade terminals. So I'm going to move those across one at a time. Now this top pole, these two top poles are just directly connected to those spade terminals for the convenience of adding various components. So we'll get those connected on there. Now here we have a slight inconvenience. You can see that on this old contactor, they were using these fork style connectors, and the new one is designed to just clamp directly onto the wire. So we'll just have to cut off those ends and then strip the wire back. I'm just going to do one at a time so that we don't lose track. We'll just snip that off and then strip the wire back a little bit, twist it together, and then tighten it down. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. If you have a standard 240 volt air conditioner, you could change these bottom wires back and forth all day long and it would not matter at all. But generally speaking, it's just kind of nice to keep things where they were. But it doesn't really matter which one goes on which side. I think I will actually take this cover off just so that we can see what's happening. That plunger looks good. I was also just checking to make sure if you stick that wire in too far, actually this white one I did stick in a little bit far. You don't want to stick that wire in so far that it goes underneath those contact points for obvious reasons. Okay, and lastly we just have our thermostat wires to reconnect, and we can put these on either side, it doesn't matter. One thing to note, if your spade terminals feel really loose, like this one felt a little bit loose, you can just take it and just squeeze it down just a little teensy weensy bit, and that will secure your connection much better when you reconnect it there. Nice and stiff now. If you have a single pole contactor and you want to go back with a single pole contactor again, but you only have a 2-pole contactor with you, you can actually make a 2-pole contactor like this one into a 1-pole contactor. And all you have to do in order to do that, in this case, this right-hand side was our non-switched leg, so it was just a solid piece of metal going from the bottom to the top. All you would have to do is move these top wires, so this one that's clamped in right here, you would just move it down and clamp it in with this bottom wire right there. And the same thing goes for this wire here on top. If you wanted it to be always powered, you would just move it down to one of those bottom terminals. And in effect, you will have created a single pole contactor using a 2-pole contactor. Like I said though, the vast majority of the time it's not necessary. The only reason a single pole contactor was installed is that they are a few cents cheaper for the manufacturer when they built the units originally. Okay, I'm going to show you how to test your contactor really quickly without having to go in and turn the thermostat on. Now this is a little bit dangerous. You got to be super careful when you do this. We're going to reconnect the power by putting our disconnect switch back in and put it in the on position. Before we push in the contactor, I'll just show you really quick what our voltage is reading. So we're going to check these 2 bottom wires coming in right here. We should have around 240 volts, 250 volts actually right now. So we have the proper voltage here. So we're going to test it by pushing that contactor in manually. And when you do that, you want to use something that is non-conductive. In this case, I'm going to use this non-contact electrical tester, but you could use anything that's made out of plastic, really. Just better to use something that's non-conductive, because you can see right here that if we were to slip off down or up, this would jab directly into that live current. And so using something that's non-conductive is just smart. So we're going to push this thing in, and the unit should start basically immediately, assuming we don't have any other problems. Okay, so here we go. We're going to push that contactor in and see if everything starts up like it's supposed to. Okay, so we heard the compressor start immediately. The fan did not start, however. I believe we have a bad fan motor in this particular unit. So click right up here if you want to see the video about replacing that fan motor. I'm going to let it out now. Generally speaking, it's good to just hold it in for a good bit, 10-15 seconds, instead of just like pushing it in and letting it out right away. In my opinion, it's better to just let it run for a few seconds. But we know for sure that our contactor is installed correctly. But this unit still has another problem with that fan motor. As you saw, the fan motor didn't start. So it's either a bad capacitor or a bad fan motor itself. So click right up here if you want to see the process of repairing and diagnosing that fan motor. So the last thing that we want to confirm is that it does indeed come on when you turn on your thermostat. So I'll go turn the thermostat on, we'll see if it starts up, I'm just going to turn the thermostat on for a few seconds since we know the fan doesn't work, but just to make sure that that thing cycles on and off correctly. So that's about all there is to know about contactors that I can think of. So if you have any questions, put them in the comments down below and I'll do my best to answer them. If you appreciated the information in this video and you found it to be helpful, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to be notified about future videos. So we've got a little bit more troubleshooting to do on this particular unit. If you want to come along with me, I have a playlist right over here of some more air conditioning troubleshooting videos. So we'll see you over there in just a few seconds. This is Oli. He's been helping me today. Thanks for your help, buddy. What do you tell everybody?
Bye.